So welcome, Lauraine. I'm very happy that you're here and that we can have this conversation about feminism and comics and specifically about your work. Could you start and tell us a little bit about yourself in short and what you do?
Sure. Hello, everyone. I'm Lauraine Meyer. I'm French. I live in the Netherlands for 10 years. I'm an illustrator and a cartoonist. Originally, I worked as a graphic designer and art director in advertising, and I became officially a cartoonist 5 years ago, something like that. I'm working on my 5th graphic novel now. Yeah.
5 books in 5 years. Yeah. That is highly impressive. Behind us, we see a few of your illustration work. Is that something that you have developed during working on comics, or is it separate? How do you see that?
No, I've always been doing illustration. Since I was little, I was drawing, so I always wanted to be an illustrator. So over the years, next to my daily job, I always participated to magazines, worked also as an illustrator for brands, for books. And so this is just like a few examples of what I've done in the past years.
Okay. Trying to refer to make sure that the images and our
I also show I also show that because it's quite different from the style I use in comics. So it's also that's a variety of my work.
Yeah. All right. We're here to talk about feminism and comics. So I was wondering, what is feminism to you?
Yeah, I mean, the very basic definition is like equality between men and women. And then there is like a lot we can develop from that. But it's this radical idea that men and women should be equals. And in many ways, it's still not the case. So,
Yeah. And how did you get in contact with feminism, or what was your introduction to it?
Yeah, so in 2018, I think I read for the first time a feminist book called Ainsi soit-elle. That's what she is, or this is what she should be, from Benoît Groult. And she's a feminist from the 70s. She wrote this book, I don't remember in which year exactly, but in the 70s. And this book still made so much sense to me in 2018. And that was a great introduction to feminism to me, because I had this idea that feminism was something a bit extreme, that feminists were a bit like those aggressive women. Militant, and I didn't identify with it. But reading the book, I was like, okay, no, everything makes sense. I'm a feminist, and so that's how it happened.
And did you then immediately think, I want to make a book about this, or I want to make more work related to this topic?
Yeah, so I was so obsessed with it when I discovered it. I was like, oh my God, I need to share this with everybody. And everybody was like my little community on Instagram, like the few followers that I had, the few friends. So I started making drawings about it, and I joined the Inktober challenge. So I've made one drawing every day, and I linked the topic of the day, or the word of the day, with like a feminist topic. And by the end of the month, I had 30 drawings. And I thought, okay, I should make something out of it, because I also wrote text under, and the text became longer and longer and longer. And I had also nice comments and encouragements from people.
And that led you to Feminists in Progress.
Exactly.
Art,
yeah.
Which we all know and love. Within feminism, are there specific topics or issues that feel most urgent to you at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, there is multiple, but when I made this book, I think for me, I learned a lot about gender and non-binary and trans identities, and that was for me a lot of deconstruction and learning. And I thought, wow, okay, that's really something that is still not clear for a lot of people. So that's a chapter that was really important for me in the book. That and domestic violence, because it's a very hot topic every day in every country. So, yeah.
Yeah. We see here a few examples from from the book. Can you tell us something about the gender stereotypes and this image, for example?
Yeah, I was trying to show the idea of like breaking all those gender stereotypes and like deconstructing all these patriarchal ideas of like men should be like this, women should be like that. And this particular chapter is about kids and how they are raised, and like little girls should like pink and blue for the boys, and how the whole society is building this differentiation between genders, and that we all have to unlearn it later on, and that it's so much work that I think it's really important to flag it very early.
We're here at a comics festival, and we can talk about feminism all day, at least I can.
Yes.
But you chose the medium of comics to present this topic and to write about it. Why comics? I'm a big comic book reader. I always love that. I think I love to tell stories, but specifically for this book, I thought that a comic would be ideal because it's a very accessible medium. It speaks to everybody. It's accessible for younger people and older people. And I think for me as an art director, I always think one drawing, one text, and one idea. So it's just natural for me to transmit it like this. And I just wanted this book to be as easy and accessible and fun just educational, but like in a fun way. And I thought that comics could be super nice for that. And in France, it's a very, very big genre. It's called vulgarisation. And vulgarisation in comics in France is like all those books that explain things, but easier. So, for example, I never read Proust, but I read the comic. So I feel like I know. I know a bit of Proust. So people don't have to read Audre Lorde. They can...
Exactly.
Read your book and figure out what their stand is on feminism.
Yeah, and I build it really as an entry point to feminism. So I also put like many pages at the end with so many references. So it's really an entry point. And then if you want to read more, here is a list of documents or books or movies or whatever. And
where do you think within you comes this wish to educate others? Because you could also write a feminist book that is more narrative based, or your books and your images are also very indeed communicative and really want to, as you said, educate others. Is that something that you always felt like you wanted to do, or did it kind of grow as it happened?
It's a good question. I don't think I want to educate people, but transmit informations. And well, as I said, like in advertising, it's always like
one word and one picture, or a phrase and one picture to transmit a lot of ideas, a lot of things. And I think it's a very fun and direct way and like practical way to explain things or to tell something. And I really like this idea of like a concept. And yeah, I mean, I come from a family of like teachers and professors, so maybe there is something like that.
There you go.
But I always had blogs about like, what you should do in this city, like a kind of journalism as well. So, I mean, I love to transmit or to share what I like, basically.
Yeah, I think it's very visible from your work that there's also a lot of like joy,
enthusiasm
in creating it. This image is actually a good example for another thing I was interested in. Let's see if the next one would be as well. The role that humor plays in your work, because it's fun, it's accessible, but it's also funny. Mm-hmm. Is that something, or how do you see the role of humor? Do you see it as something important? Let's start there.
Yeah. So, I love to tell stories to people in my everyday life because I love to make them laugh. And I always see a funny side of what happens to me. So, already I just really like that. And making things funny. And for me, I relate to things, or I engage with stories more when I can laugh as well. And when you want to transmit very complex concepts, very deep ideas, very sad or intense concepts as well, it's easier to say it with a grain of laugh and a bit of fun. So, or making fun of like situations that are very complicated or very sad, because there is a lot to be told in feminism. So. I think it works way better with a bit of humor, and I hope, like, when I was writing it, I was like, I find it funny, like, but I hope other people do. And when I hear people laughing while they look at my work, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm not crazy.
Did you also, this is a bit from the other side, but did you kind of check with people or with editors or someone while you were making the book to see like, does this work? Is this funny, or is it clear, or did it just flow out of you?
I mean, my publisher did check, but she didn't comment like funny, like she didn't do that. But she did like check more like the flow of the book and if everything was understandable and if it was clear enough. But that's it. For the funny side, yes, I asked my partner a lot. I was like, what do you think of this drawing? Is this weird, or is it funny, or is it offending, or like, like always checking as much as I could. But sometimes I was like, that will go. And we'll see.
This is exactly where I hoped we would end. So the first book, it's not per se for women, but it's feminism in progress, as you said. What made you move to make the second book, or how did that come about?
Yeah, so when I made the first one, in my head, it was very clear that I wanted to make it super inclusive and that it would be for men and women. That's why I picked the colors blue, yellow, and pink, because I thought, if stereotypically women identify with pink, men will identify with blue, and then yellow is in between. But weirdly enough, men didn't really buy this book.
Shocking.
I think maybe because Feminists was written big on top of the cover.
Scary.
Or they bought it for their daughter, or for their wife, or for their friend, or for their mother, but very few bought it for themselves. And I thought, I failed. And I talked with some male friends of me, and they were like, yeah, but we don't really know how to, like it's a bit uncomfortable, and we don't know where to start. And I don't dare to call myself a feminist. I'm afraid that feminist women will be angry at me, and it's not so easy to be an ally, and any blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, I hear that there is a problem, like, what can I do about it? Like facing it and being like, no, I really want to talk to men. So I decided I will make one for them. And
And what were the reactions, or did more men buy the man book?
Yes, definitely. Yes. Because I think there is a need as well. Like I did the same check that I did when I made Feminists in Progress. I was like, does this book exist on the market? No. There is nothing for men. And now there is more. It's a bit... It came as well with at the same time as my second book, but yeah, definitely. And I also made the story more. It's not non-fictional; it's a fiction. I made 2 characters because I wanted it to be also nice for guys, so they can identify with those characters without feeling too threatened, without having someone pointing at them and being like, "This is wrong." I wanted them to be able to be critical towards those characters and saying, I would never do that, what a douche. And also being like, ooh, I did that once, like, oof, okay, yeah, what happens to this guy when he did that? So, so they can identify and not feel threatened or oppressed, or like feel like we dump a massive amount of information on them. So I tried to make the book like really flowing through the topics, and
very considerate of the man. Do you have ideas of other like parts of your audience or of society that you think, oh yeah, I should also give them an introduction to feminism?
No, I think it's
we're done.
We're done.
We won.
No, after we can go more into details, into topics more specifically, but like generally speaking, I think yeah.
What is your next dream?
The question is the question from the audience is, what is your next dream?
Oh, my next dream. I think maybe it works with one of your questions. Now I would like to make more fiction and still use those topics and interpret them, but more within a story, and maybe in a more subtle way, not educational.
What do you mean?
More subtle. More
there
subtle.
You go.
So this way. That's my next book. It's called Boom.
It's fiction, eh? It's fiction.
More subtle, maybe.
And what do you find in fiction? What do you think fiction could give you as a maker that nonfiction cannot?
Success.
Yeah, very important. Money.
No, but like nonfiction is not a genre that is well regarded in this profession. I think like it feels like it's really the bottom of comics, and all the awards, they always go to those fiction books or autobiography, but nonfiction is not really regarded in a very nice way. So
interesting. I didn't think of it this way. Also, someone who comes from like graphic journalism and also, doing also fiction and nonfiction. It's never something that I thought of as some sort of hierarchical.
Oh, I heard Benoit Peeters.
Yeah.
You know him?
No, he's a French academic guy who is very, very renowned for like his analysis of Tintin and like but also modern books. And he said it clearly in an interview the other day, and I was like, okay, too bad.
Yeah, this was an analysis you meant. Interesting. Yeah. There were questions. Oh, there you go.
What kind of personal development do you feel you made from each book to another? I don't know if I said it right, but you understand?
How did you grow through the process of making the books?
Yeah, like what kind of development? How did you develop from each book as a maker? Maybe that's
as
clear.
a maker.
And behind you is another book of yours, so you can also
indeed.
talk about the development.
I think making books one after the other. I learned by making. So I grew, I think, in drawing, in colors as well, using colors. I kept the same technique from one book to another because it's the fastest I know, and I'm not very patient.
Maybe that's why you were making 5 books in 5 years.
Yeah, exactly.
But do you feel like that each book is a different challenge in a way, or a new challenge?
Yeah, definitely, because the topic is different, the context is different. For example, this book, I wrote it with a very good friend of mine who is a journalist, and she's specialized in parenting. And I don't consider myself specialized in parenting. I just had a kid, but that's it. So we wrote it together, we thought about it together, and I made... she wrote text and I made comics parts. So it's a half book, half comic. So here I really learned also about the collaboration with women and writing together. That was also a challenge. On the drawing style, I would say I learned to make like really... I kept the same style as the first book. So it's not so different because it's also very short stories. I learned, for example, on Men in Progress, how to make a longer form, and how to write a story. Like I've never wrote a story before. I never developed characters. So I really had to learn on that as well.
Thank you.
Could you tell us a bit more about this aspect of going from short to long format of stories? Because say you learn by making, but how did that process look for you? Was it trial and error? Did you like look up resources? I'm like, what is a long format? How do I build it? Or
I googled narrative arc.
I also want to add to her question, about how do you feel that the audience grows or accept or adapt to your stories? Because talking about feminism or genre perspective is very difficult to most of people. And do you feel that those person start to change their mind about your artwork, or no, there's no difference between the people that follows you or the people that doesn't like your work because you're talking about feminism?
So your question is like, first, do I reach the same audience? And is this my first audience following me through the different books? Well, I think with this book was a flop, so
let's get rid of it.
No, this one, so that's the next book that will come out in August. This one, I know that I will reach a way bigger audience because it's not about feminism; it's about women in science. And I worked with a historian
So it's a very scientific-based historian book. So I know that it will reach a completely different audience, also younger, because it's also a publisher that make books for young people. So I will see. I don't really know how it's going to work, but I also try. It's true that like making only books about feminism is very niche, and especially if it's non-fictional and like this genre, it keeps to this niche and this limited audience. But I think I'll tell you how it goes.
I was actually, was that, okay. Yes. I was wondering, since we're talking about this new and exciting book that's coming out, it is, as you mentioned, not so directly, this is about feminism. But do you feel that politics or your ideas of social justice also have a place in this book, or do you see like a difference between the two?
Yeah, I mean, it's not directly about feminism or social justice, but like in the core of the book is like representing women who have been invisibilized in the history. So it is in itself quite militant and political and very engaged. So already when I got this book proposed to me, I was like, yeah, great idea. And then, working on the representation of women. I also, for example, that's a fun fact. I had to research a lot of historical documents, right, to illustrate all these women. And at some point, I noticed that all the representation of these women in the art, like at the beginning, there were like only statues, and then like paintings, and then photography, and then like more. But even the ancient Greek, it was only very slim women, like very thin, very petite, very pretty, always represented like that. And for centuries and centuries, I waited for so long in the history timeline to finally see representations of women old, maybe not so pretty, and maybe not so thin.
Yeah.
And I was shocked. I was like, wow, okay, so that's a problem we have since the beginning of the entire world history. So trying to represent those women not so pretty was for me also a militant trait, or represent older women, or try to fit in there women with different shapes.
Yeah.
I don't talk about women of color because in the science world, it's mostly from Occidental, in the Occidental world. So women of color in science came later.
Yeah.
So that was another struggle. And the last thing that I really wanted to do, but apparently it's not possible. It's to write a book in inclusive writing, because in French, everything is gendered.
Oh, yeah.
So if you have 100 men in the room and 1 woman, you will... No,
the other way around.
Sorry, if you have 100 women and 1 guy, you will say they in a masculine form. And I started like really paying a lot of attention to that, to the representation of women in the language.
Yeah.
And I started writing all my books in inclusive. But this one, I didn't write it. And I sent an email last week to my publisher being like, so can we just please make it inclusive? And they said, we really want to, but we don't have the space.
The space?
Yeah, the space in the speech bubble, because you have to...
Is it longer?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you have to add like they, them, like, like...
Yeah. Pity, yeah, but also really interesting that that's something that you're busy with, and because at least if we're talking about comics, we're talking about text and image, or the form and the content that come together, and I always really appreciate when people are just as passionate about language as they are about the drawing. I find that often in comics the balance is a bit off. Like everyone is super passionate about drawing and techniques, and the language gets like sometimes a bit forgotten or not as paid attention to. And I feel in your work and also through this story, it's definitely something you're busy with.
Yeah. And I think it's so important. And I read books to my daughter every night, and I change the text. I make it inclusive.
Yeah.
And I give bigger roles to Celeste in Babar. Because it's so important. And my daughter speaks in inclusive now, and I think it's so amazing because I didn't grow up like that.
Yeah. Oh, wait, you need a microphone.
Yep.
Yeah. Sorry.
I was thinking about how it is to be a mom raising a kid in nowadays. Thinking about all the difference between genres here in Europe, and also thinking about the inclusive things in South America or countries that have low development and different kind of treatment for women and everything, like, and non-binary people and queer people. And I was thinking how hard could be for illustrator mom teach those things for a kid, especially in a world that is putting a huge wave against women and queer people. So how is for you right now to do like those things? And how is for you to lead with a market that understand women's with less value than the males as well?
Do you want to rephrase the question?
I'm going to try. I think it might connect to what I also was going to ask about, next to comics maker, you're also a creative maker in our world, a woman in our world, and a mother. Yeah. And how does that influence your work? What is it like?
Yeah.
Is that a bit, what the summary?
Nice. Yeah. Being a mother and a mother of a daughter makes me also even more aware of like deconstructing all the cultural materials that we have around us. So translating books into feminism for her, like kids' books, is one big thing. But like explaining things in the world and trying to raise her as a strong girl and know her rights and everything like that. So explaining these things through books, but also through showing my own behavior. So explaining that I'm also a woman and not only a mother, and like that I have things to do and that I will love to come back to her, but I also have my own life sometimes, stuff like that. And just explaining things a lot. And then in the everyday life, I also, for example, I developed a feminist book club in Amsterdam. It's only in French, unfortunately, but like, so when my daughter is like, "Whoa, why are you again going out, mama?" And I'm like, "Sorry, I'm going to my feminist book club." So it's also being involved in the community in this way. Does it answer the question?
The second
Wait.
part. Okay, sorry. The second part was about the market. You are creating very niche comics.
Yeah.
And here we have almost a woman in the audience.
Yep.
So how do you feel that your artwork connects to other people, and how the market see your artwork in this case?
I don't really know. I connect. I mean, for example, a day like this, it's really nice to connect with people, like to be able to chat with them. Like today, I had I was extremely lucky to have like a little cell in this prison building.
So lucky.
No, but like a space where I could exhibit my work and like get the chance to meet a different audience than mine, because it's a festival that is quite mainstream. So there is many different kind of people, many different kind of books. And so the people that came to see my work today were not necessarily my usual audience. And it was a really good chance to have a chat and like adapt as well to them just the way I speak, or because I don't speak the same way with a super queer feminist young women and like a man in his 50s. So it's really interesting to see how you can interact with those different people on a different level and still receive a lot of interest, because in the end we can connect over the story, over the technique, over the process of creating. So I really like this person-to-person interactions. For the audience that I don't meet, I have no idea. Yeah.
Do you have, because you do have some contact with people online, or people follow you, or they leave comments, and in our modern day, are there interactions there where you are sometimes surprised to see like what people have to say about your work, or how they refer to it, or?
It's funny because I was worried, of course, about it, and even my first book, I thought, it's not feminist enough. Like the more like militant feminist might say, you're like it's too simple. You're not going into details. You're not specific enough, or you should not waste time talking to men, stuff like that. But I never had any negative interaction with people, and I'm so surprised that people really understand my work. They're like, oh, I loved it because it was like this and like that, and I'm like, wow, it's exactly what I meant to do, and that's exactly what I wanted to convey. So it's so nice, and so comforting to see that the way I express myself in my books reaches the right people, or at least that people understand what I mean and don't get confused, or don't think, oh, she did that because la la la. Like, of course, I had a few negative comments from some men saying that I was too extreme, or that too radical using inclusive writing in my books.
Yeah,
but I mean,
we can handle that.
Yeah.
Wave. Sorry. We have a wave from feminist publications in 2012 until 2014 in Brazil. And this movement brought a lot of women to draw comics and push us to draw a lot of things. And the same way we are pushed to do things and show ourselves, we have a lot of rage coming as well. So to see that you didn't have this is so amazing, so amazing. It's so far from the place that I came. Until nowadays, the people used to tag the woman as by autobiography authors, or kids authors, or a specific genre. But seeing you talking about your artwork and the acceptance is so nice. It seems like the people really understands the topic and really understands what you're trying to talk.
Yeah, but it's also because I, how do you call that? I make books that are designed to speak to everyone. So I'm not going into a more radical thoughts. I stay very, even if I bring in some very militant ideas, I stay in a form that is kind of nice, and like I do it in a very feminine way, like very oh, but don't worry, I don't want to shock you, it's fine. So I respect so much the work of militant feminists, and I, to me, there is no, like, I know that there is this. And it's true in a way, but there is this idea that feminism has many, how do you say,
aspects?
No, people like to separate feminists. Or you're a nice feminist because you don't yell at us. Oh, this is a mean feminist because she's demonstrating in the street and she yells at men. You know, like, so people like to divide us.
Dividing, yeah.
And it's true that in a movement like feminism, there is subgroups. There is, of course, there is fights. There is different ideas, and I mean, I don't talk about the people who, the so-called feminists who don't accept trans people, because these are not feminists to me. But people like to divide us and make us like, yeah, but this and that. And for me, I respect every single feminist, whatever they do at their level. My level, the one I picked, is kind of like neutral or funny, quirky, kind of accessible for everybody. And that's, yeah.
I feel, as a reader of your book, that you present feminist principles as though they are simply common sense.
Yeah.
So when you say something like women are paid less than men, they do the same amount of work or even more in their jobs to prove themselves, that doesn't make sense. So you tend, I felt like that's the way all of these things were presented in your book, and also with humor. Yeah. Which, you know, I think it's a great way to engage with people, and it's better than pointing a finger and lecturing people, and that's how it's effective.
I think there is many ways of doing it, and I completely respect manifestos and, like, you know, like there is a book called "I Hate All Men." You know, like, I think you have to really be like, assertive sometimes, and you have to be like to make noise, and you have to be a bit more aggressive sometimes. I think both options are valid. Yeah.
I'm curious if like anger and rage has space in your work, because I think as a feminist, and I think a lot of us can relate to it. We can, the world is very upsetting, and we store a lot of anger in us. We're also taught to not show it and like not present it. But did you have moments while making these books where you're like, I just want to, you know, be less nice?
Yeah, I mean, for the second book, Men in Progress, I read another book made by Benoît Groult. That was a book that just talks about the men who were feminists in history. And there is so few. And she talked about other, like, what happened in different times of history. And it got me so angry and so sad. And I was like, I can't even finish this book. Like, this is so upsetting. And you need a really good dose of hope to write a book about feminism and men. Yeah. So I kept it to a brighter side, but yeah, I've been very disappointed as well. Yeah. So anger, yeah. I mean, I realized that even recently that I've been raised to not show anger. Yeah. And that I'm not allowing myself to be angry, because if I do, then I get bad reviews or bad comments from my family.
1 star.
Yeah. So yeah, it's still something that I'm deconstructing about myself. And I think in nonfiction, I don't think there is so much space for anger because it's very factual, or the way I interpret it. But in fiction, I think I could express way more anger through a character.
So be prepared. In Lauraine's next book, it's nothing but rage.
No.
Is there anything else or questions from the audience, or anything else that you'd like to share with us?
I want to receive a list of all those books that you read, because it's very interesting to see other perspectives. It's very interesting to see different perspectives of feminism. As I said, I grew up in South America, so the feminism on Brazil is built by genre, but also by class and by place that you live. If you come from certain places in Brazil, you're considered poor, but we are also very mixed races, so there's lots of levels of feminism to talk about it. And here in Europe, I noticed that are lots of different levels of feminism that I didn't know before. So if you could share a list of the books that you read in Instagram or in another space, could be very nice. It is all.
Yeah, it's usually at the end of Feminists in Progress. You can find a big list. Yeah, after my references are very French. And in France, we're not as inclusive as you might be in South America. So, I mean, it's perspective, but a lot of white perspective. So I'm myself curious to read other stuff.
Maybe you can tell us about books you're reading.
Exactly. Yeah, maybe in the other way.
I have more questions, but I think we have to wrap up time-wise. But I want to thank you very much for your time and for sharing your thoughts and your work with us. And thank you for everyone here.
Thank you very much. Woo!